Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the top 8 of Polish nationals. Not sure if I'm live yet, but I'm just going to keep talking as if I am. I've come back because there has not been a break between the Swiss and the top 8, so I'm just going to cover this one game while we wait for Simon and Hamish to finish what they're doing. So I get to do one extra bonus game. I am on my own at the moment, but I may be joined by one of the guys very shortly. And we are here with something special. Unfortunately, the last Azalea game was not able to. We had some issues with the stream. You might have heard me and Shin's dulcet tones commentating the game, providing some audio commentary for it. But unfortunately, the stream quality was not so strong, so we weren't able to use that particular footage. But we are back. We have brought the Azalea player Metatron, I should say. I keep saying Megatron, but it's actually not that. It's Metatron back on stream playing Azalea. You guys didn't really get to see the full capabilities of the Azalea. Both me and Shin did cast the whole game. They unfortunately weren't able to win the final game, but did get the Briar player down to 3 health and were really dominating the game, was on the attack, was pushing damage through on the Briar, but the Briar managed to draw into a huge double channel mount heroic turn and just turn the tables on Azalea. It almost happened in one fell swoop, really. But the Azalea player was locked for top 8 and has been paired up here against a Oldhim. It's a difficult matchup for Azalea. I mean, it's not like I watch a huge number of Azalea games, I'll be honest with you, but I can't see it being the easiest matchup. But this Azalea player has managed to navigate one of the most competitive Swiss rounds. The last few rounds of Swiss has done pretty well, has managed to retain their place in the top 8. I think they finished 5th yesterday after 9 rounds of Swiss. Clearly had a successful draft as well, and has now been paired up against Oldhim in this quarterfinal. So I don't have the exact top 8. I think it's fair to assume that Inazumi is up there too, which was the Briar player from the last game. Inazumi being an incredibly accomplished player. But on the left here, we have Daniyar playing Oldhim. Just have a little quick look if I have any information about that particular player. Because we have a big long list that FAB-LAB have provided for us, basically breaking down what these players have achieved, what they've done, which is incredibly useful because it can be quite tricky to understand what's going on in another country's meta. But the main takeaway is that Poland has some of the strongest players in the world with consistent top 8s and at callings, at Pro Tours. We've got, really, really top tier players who have a reputation around the world for being very, very strong. We're just waiting for the players to set up to get this game rock and rolling. We've seen a lot of Guardians today. We've seen 2 games previously. We saw it was a Oldhim versus Briar. No, we had an Oldhim. We had a Briar versus Bravo for the game 1 today, and then a Briar versus Oldhim. Both of those Briars did manage to take down their Guardian opponents, but we see here that we've still got an Oldhim in the top 8, and I'm sure there's a couple of other ones. Always a good sign. We see the Oldhim player reading what Death Dealer does. It always fills you with a bit of confidence in a player when your opponent might not know what your cards do. But just making sure that the Oldhim player knows exactly what this Azalea player is capable of, checking the hero ability as well. Very important thing to do if you don't fully know the capabilities of this Ranger hero. So the Azalea Metatron has gone with a very similar loadout to the previous game. The Skullbone Cross Wrap, the Bullseye Braces, the Tunic, and the Perch Grapplers with Death Dealer. And on the Oldhim side, it looks like we have Seeds, Creative Fist, Tunic, and it looks to me like the Ironhide, the pay 1 to block 2, which should combo quite nicely with Seeds and, of course, Rampart of the Ram's Head and the hammer there, Winter's Wail. So it looks like the Azalea player, can't tell if the game has started or they've just asked to read some of the players' deck. I'm pretty sure it started, and the Oldhim players turn this card around. Remorseless. Remorseless will mean that the Oldhim player will lose a health for every action that they play. I think it's on play, so and they've pitched a bolt and shot to play this remorseless out. The Oldhim player will probably block this out turn one and respond. May be able to do something with an ice react on the top if possible. We'll just wait to see how they respond to this. Yeah, just we see the double block here. We'll see if there are any further defense reactions. Of course, the Azalea player still got 2 cards in hand, so he's able to develop the arsenal regardless of any ice react on the top of those blocks. Yep, card in arsenal, and we will be moving on now to the Oldhim player. There's probably a slight delay in my commentary on what you guys see on stream. So it might sound occasionally like I'm commentating a little bit after the fact. We have a slightly lower quality stream here on where we're casting, just so we can make sure we can provide the highest quality feed to you guys watching the game on YouTube. So I will try to cover as best I can. I know the Azalea cards a little bit, but there's probably going to be one or two that I don't quite don't quite recognize. So you'll have to bear with me. And that to me looks like a Terra Thunder being put down by the Oldhim player here. Getting that disruption in early, pitching a pummel to do so. And coming in with a Oaken Old off the Terra Thunder. Presumably not fused because 2 cards have already been used to pitch and 2 cards have been played. But that is going to come in for 8 with Dominate, and on hit effect, lose 2 cards from hand. I believe Terra Thunder is discard rather than shuffle at the bottom. But we will, I can double check that for you guys. I think because Terra Thunder is a Guardian card rather than an Elemental Guardian, it is the discard on the Tear. Don't always see the Tear played early, but obviously it's a good opportunity when you're starting the game with a 4-card hand to get it in some disruption. And it seems to be hitting a red in the ledger, getting the block on the red in the ledger here. Red in the ledger, not as impactful a card against Oldhim, that's very content to just swing the hammer at you, take that one action and just swing the hammer. Rather than go really wide. So the Azalea player is probably thinking, not the most valuable card in this matchup. I will commit the block here to reduce some of this damage, but he's going to lose 2 cards here and a big chunk of health. We see the cross wrap being used there to opt, and we see a energy potion being played out. Energy potion, great to get that on the field really early. That will cover the Azalea for things like Blizzard, for making sure that if the Azalea wants to pop off, wants to do a really wide turn, won't have to worry about Blizzard. And I guess any other potential costs that might need to be paid, or just to fuel the turn if Blizzard is not a threat. But I think being able to get that down early, especially on the back of getting rid of 2 cards, is going to be nice. And we see here a Spinal Crush for 9 coming in from the Oldhim. Again, Spinal Crush, great card to shut down a go wide Azalea. We've seen this Azalea go really wide with things like Ravenous Rabble, Enlightened Strike in the previous game. And I'm sure that the Oldhim player is aware of this Azalea. I'm sure people have been coming over and watching this Azalea player play today and yesterday. I mean, it's quite the spectacle, but that means hopefully he should have a vague idea of what's in his opponent's deck, what his vague game plan is, and how to best counteract it. And this Spinal should do the job. We see here a 2-card block blocking out 6 to make sure that the crush effect of Spinal does not come into play. And we also see, maybe it was 5, but he's following up with a Fate Foreseen to cover this off. Hopefully we'll not take any damage here unless the Oldhim follows up with a pummel. But no. So the Azalea player retains their health, 35 health it seems still, but has committed 3 cards to stopping that Spinal Crush. It would be a little bit limited about what they can do here, especially with just if they want to play out the card from Arsenal. And it looks like that's what they're going to do. Sikkim Shot, it's a 1-cost for power, go again arrow, but the Azalea obviously doesn't have much to play with it. And I think because they committed 3 cards to the block and they've pitched 1 card here, I'm assuming they don't have any more cards in hand. So they are probably going to end this turn without a card in Arsenal, which, they want to be maintaining that pressure from the Arsenal. being able to start the turn by revealing a card and opting with the cross wrap is obviously a good play. And the Oldhim just going to consider what they want to do about this Sikkim shot, whether to block it out, whether to let it through and hit back with a bigger turn. But I think we're going to see some prevention being done here, pitching and making sure that the Oldhim player retains its nice high life total. I can't see this being a particularly easy match for the Azalea. The Oldhim has, got some really great defensive tools to shut down the arrows that are being thrown at him. Not only that, Azalea can do a lot with dominate, but it's very easy for Oldhim to handle dominate. They have the defense reaction, being able to earth react to prevent damage. A lot of the arrows come in for 5, so a 3 block and an earth react will cover that off pretty nicely. We've yet to see all the cards in this Azalea player's deck. I haven't yet seen a sleep dart, for example. That could be an option for setting up a big turn by getting a sleep dart through, preventing Oldhim's hero ability from working, those defense reacts from working, and then trying to push through a lot of damage on a subsequent turn. This is coming in for 8. I think it's a choke slam. I can't quite see it with the dice on the top. Choke slam would mean that the Azalea player's cards can't gain attack. That's actually really relevant for cards like Bolt and Shot. So Bolt and Shot is a 0 cost arrow where if its power is greater than its base power, it gets go again. But obviously, if the choke slam comes through, that's not going to be in effect. I think that's choke slam. But again, apologies. Normally I run everything past Shin and he gives me his, it definitely is a choke slam, but it's quite hard for me to see. I'm basing it just off the picture because I can't see the card text or card title from my stream. But I know a few of the pictures by now. The Azalea player is setting up another energy potion. This is going to be thinking, maybe this Azalea player's got something spicy, got some kind of game plan, some kind of setup that they can do against Oldhim that they're going to pop off with, because, really setting up the field, making sure they have the resources they need to do something huge. So, energy pot pass could be worse, could be better. We're seeing what the Oldhim player is going to do now. They come in with 10 with a Glacial Footsteps. I didn't see a fuse, and clearly wasn't one because the Azalea again is going to throw down a lot of block on this, really trying to preserve that life total. If they do have a long-term game plan that they want to reach, then they need to make sure that they keep the life total in order to be able to do that. And we pass back over now. The Azalea player really just trying to preserve that life total, trying to wait for something big, has the card in Arsenal face down, so is able to do the cross wrap. That appears to be that's not a fatigue shot, is it? I think it might be. So fatigue shot is a really nice card against big attackers. It makes their first attack that they play do half damage. So, if they come in with a Glacial Footsteps for 10, but they've been hit with a fatigue shot in the previous turn, that attack's only coming in for 5. So this is something the Oldhim player is going to want to respect, is going to want to try and do something about this. They probably don't want to let this go through. Fatigue shot, it only works on attack action cards. So, they could just swing hammer. The hammer won't be affected. It will still come in for 4.
Spicy bit of tech there, Trip.
Hey, look, it's Simon. Thank you for relieving me.
You've been
saying me to stop talking for 2 seconds.
You've been hung out to dry on your own there.
It's okay. I'm glad to be back for this game. It was a real shame that we didn't get to. We did actually cast the whole Azalea game, but there's there
was a big issue.
Might not realize. They will realize there's a huge issue with the stream, but we're working with a really significant stream delay, obviously to protect the integrity of the tournament and make sure there's no issues there. So we actually the Azalea game, I don't think it had even started on stream by the time we had finished. So it was a real shame to finish casting and see that it hadn't quite caught through. But we have to give full credit to the guys running this stream. They've one of them is judging as well, and one of them is playing. Has been playing as well, and it's really hard. They're working from a university out in Poland that they don't have access to the internet, so it's been tricky for them. But they've done the best with what they've got, and honestly, it's still been really, really good. But a shame, but we'll move on. So Simon, I assume, have you been able to follow the early stages of this game so far? Or have you just
I've literally just joined in. I was expecting a little bit of a later start, so apologies for the delay from here. We've just missed sorry, by the way, a hammer coming in. Azalea's respected that and blocked for 4. So yeah, I haven't been following the early stages. It looks pretty cagey, as you'd expect from an Oldhim Azalea matchup. If you were expecting an Oldhim Azalea matchup at all, it's not often that we get to see Azalea in the top 8 of big competitions. I think it's a fantastic show, and they've obviously picked the right deck for the right meta to get this far, and it's going to be interesting to see how they deal with Oldhim here, who can obviously try and fatigue a hero that doesn't have a weapon that attacks without attack action cards.
Yeah, exactly. And we see here the Bolton shot come in, but it is shut down by a sink below, so not able. I'm not actually. The Azalea player did have a card to Arsenal, could have potentially reloaded there, but I imagine they just wanted to get that card in Arsenal anyway. It's an interesting one, Simon, because we've seen the Azalea player. I have been saying that there's the potential for some spiciness. We're seeing these. I saw one energy potion go down. I thought, okay, that's good. That covers the blizzard. But we have seen a second one. I do wonder, it could just be to provide maximum coverage over blizzard. But maybe there's something spicy going on. I don't know for sure.
I was going to say, I mean, to get this far, they must have come up against a few Oldhams already. So they obviously have a game plan. It will be interesting to see how that pans out.
Yeah, they've been through 6 rounds of CC. They've clearly been very successful, but as we know, Polish Nats, there's been a lot of Briar, 22 Briar players, 10 Oldhams. They might have just dodged these more difficult matchups against the Oldhams. But who knows? Maybe they have a plan to take this matchup down. We do see Azalea hero ability being used, loading an Enlightened Strike into the Arsenal. Not an arrow, but an E-Strike is an E-Strike at the end of the day. We'll see what they can do with it.
Good afternoon, gentlemen.
Hello, Hamish. Sneak in. We've got the full push the point. We've all come out for this Azalea game.
Stars have aligned for the Azalea game in the top 8.
Someone said top 8 Azalea, so there's only one way to do it. We've got to get all of us on this. This is crazy.
This is a momentous occasion. Hamish, I can hear the family in the background.
They're cheering on for Azalea. Yeah. They're like,
I know. Even my 2-year-old is hyped.
Yeah. We're seeing a Winter's Bite come down, I believe, from the Oldhim. That's going to force a pitch to produce to prevent the discard. I think it's a Winter's Bite. I can't quite tell from where I'm standing.
It does look that way. I was going to ask Trip.
Yeah.
Oh, there's a CNC. So card disadvantage and card manipulation from the Oldhim there, as expected. And a CNC is going to target the Arsenal, which, although it's only got an E-Strike in, Azalea always wants an Arsenal. I was going to ask Trip, from the match that you saw prior to the top 8 with Azalea, were they generally going tall, or were they trying to get?
They were going quite wide. I'll be honest. They were playing E-Strikes. They were playing Rebels. Now, that's not to say that's what this Azalea player is playing in this Oldhim matchup. They may be trying to go more tall, and they were playing in the previous game. Things like Seek and Destroy, the buff that destroys the Arsenal. And this is the thing about Azalea. They have access to AB2 through equipment that they want to be running anyway. This Azalea has AB2 right now just because they're running braces and they're running the skull cross wrap, skull wrap.
Yes,
or whatever it is. I don't know. I can't remember.
Skullbone cross wrap is what you're trying to say.
That means that you have access to a lot more deck space if you want to. If you only need to run, you don't need to run AB in your list. It frees up a couple of extra spaces, and I imagine that means it's Azalea. If it is running an aggressive 60-card list, that means they have a lot of sideboard space to play around with. They can really target certain matchups in ways that other heroes can't. This is something I was coming up against recently, playing Kodachi fight. It's a great deck, but you're losing a deck slot to that second Kodachi. You're losing a deck slot if you want to run AB because you don't have natural AB apart from anything but tide flippers.
So you have to be a lot more set on your main deck,
exactly,
and maybe a little less flexible in your sideboarding options.
And it's the same with Oldhim, because Oldhim likes to run a lot of equipment. They want to run, they want to have seeds, Crown of Seeds, but they also want to have Crown of Providence. They want to run AB. They want to run Heart of Ice. That means that their main deck is a lot more set. It's these things like this with the 80 card limit in Flesh and Blood and the equipment loadout that can make a real difference. I think we're seeing another Chokeslam come down. We've seen quite a few Chokeslams. This is a really good card, again, as I was saying earlier, before Simon came up, for making sure that Bolt and Shot won't get its effect. And we do see another Fatigue Shot being used to block. That would have been a great card to play out to reduce some of this incoming damage coming from the Oldhim.
I think Oldhim and now Bravo as well, obviously, using Chokeslam in this meta makes so much sense. There are so many heroes that want to boost attacks and go tall if they can. It's such a good card. And although the crush effect only needs to it's not an on-hit effect, it is a 4 damage or more effect. It can still be tricky to block these big attacks,
especially for Oldhim. Oldhim has some really big hitters. Sometimes they have Dominate, and being able to reduce down these 8s and 10s to 5s and 4s, you're coming in for 1 for 5, and it's almost like you're also healing. It's even better than healing because a lot of those attacks have relevant on-hit effects too. Really, really interesting stuff, and a really good choice by the Azalea player to take into this matchup. I think that is a Sikkim Shot in the Arsenal. Again, it's quite tricky for me.
Looks like a take cover to me, doesn't it?
It's a take cover. Yeah, well, that's going to be an issue. CNC is now being thrown down. Interesting pitch from the Oldhim player representing 2 floating on this CNC. Or maybe that was something related to something else. Didn't quite catch that in time.
They've double blocked. They've double blocked the CNC. They can't obviously use the take cover. The take cover's a nice card, actually. 0 for 4 defense reaction, allows you to reload. It's everything Azalea wants, unless it's a CNC where you can't play defense reactions.
Yeah, really unfortunate time for that CNC to get thrown. But obviously, the Oldhim player has, the Azalea player sometimes plays with their Arsenal face up. And it's, when you see that as an Oldhim, you're thinking, well, this is a great time to throw a CNC out.
I think what we're expecting here from Azalea is to set up turns, especially with the Skullbone Crosswrap, where you can get access to that information, what's on top of the deck, go tall with a dominated attack, often with an on-hit that's going to disrupt the Oldhim on the next turn. But it's not quite like Briar or playing against Rune Blades or Ninjas, where you can use things like Red in the Ledger to completely shut down their turns. Oldhim only needs 1 attack. They're often going to come in with the hammer. So things like Fatigue Shot, as you were explaining before, aren't necessarily that beneficial. Although we are seeing a couple of turns now where the Oldham's been giving a bit of breathing room. So they've come in for a Chokeslam for 8 and a Spinal Crush for 9 this turn.
This is the real trouble with the Azalea, because these are cards that Oldhim is running for Briar matchups, is running for Phi matchups, things like Spinal Crush, things that stop, more Chokeslam for Briar than Phi, but it's cards that they already have in their deck, but they also happen to be really good against Azalea, especially this go wide. Azalea.
And it's the age-old problem with Ranger, is that your pump cards often block for 2, and your arrow cards, which you need to conserve because that's your way of doing damage, block for 3. So if you want to get best blocking efficiency, you want your 3 blocks. But if you want to actually attack on the next turn, you're probably going to need to save those. So it's a really difficult decision for the Azalea player to make, whether to block at all or whether to use their big cards for that purpose.
We still have we could still see a block from the Perch Grapplers, from the Tunic, from the hat here, but it's so early. I'm not sure the Azalea wants to commit those equipment, and I imagine they have a big plan in mind for these Perch Grapplers in order to close out the game.
I don't know, to be honest. I think the Perch Grapplers they're an expensive go again, and I'm not sure
We did see them use them in the previous matchup with trying to go super wide to give things like Endless Arrow go again. Obviously, if you can get the Endless Arrow with go again and it hits, it comes back to hand, and you're able to reload and utilize some other resources to go really wide. I just think that if this Azalea player is going to take down this Oldhim, they need to do something big, and I think Perch Grapplers is one of those ways that they can enable a huge explosive turn by giving some of these cards go again that don't normally have it. It might be something they use in combination with Three of a Kind, for example, which is a card that we know is in this Azalea player's deck, but we haven't seen it yet. It's looking pretty bleak.
It's all on the hit effects, though, isn't it? So it all depends on what sort of attack is coming in. So having Spinal Crusher is definitely something you need to stop. But I suppose really it depends what the next attack comes from Oldhim that can give Azalea this breathing space. And it just looks like she's setting up for another Ebot. So taking her time.
Good. I mean, if you have to block out an attack, it's a good card to just play out and set up the field. We talk about the big cost of Perch Grapplers, but if you've got Epots on the field, then hopefully that's enabling something pretty big. I said it earlier when I saw this energy potion hit the field. I thought, oh, it's cover for Blizzard, and I'm seeing them now being played out over and over again. Maybe they do have something in mind to get a big turn off.
And it looks like we've got a fused Oakenold. Oh joy! And it looks like he's just blocking with just the sink below. I don't know if you're going to commit any equipment to this either. So I think it's just going to be taking 5 damage, lose 2 cards, and then try and set up again.
So it looks like we had a defense react in Arsenal?
I believe so. Yeah, okay.
2 defense reactions from Arsenal.
I don't
2
think you
take
can
covers. No, I just saw.
Oh, unless you take cover, reload, take cover.
Yeah, I suppose. Yeah, that would be it, wouldn't it? Take cover, reload
really
from
nice
that.
Play there.
So 3 defense reactions on the board to stop the fused Oakenold.
Okay, yeah. I mean that's a pretty cool interaction. I mean, I don't know if he had anything in Arsenal at the time. I don't believe he did. No, because I think I'm not sure. It's quite hard because it's a little delayed. But it looks like we've got Remorseless in Arsenal face up. Ready for next
it's what that Azalea player needed. They don't really care too much about committing cards to these big blocks because they've clearly got a game plan in mind. But being able to just not take 6 damage or 7 damage even from that dominated Oakenold is really big there. They're able to keep a card in Arsenal, which is what Azalea wants to be doing, and shut down a big attack from the Oldhim player. Oakenold is very flashy. It's obviously going to have a great on-hit effect, but I think this Azalea player is just trying to preserve life, is trying to build something big, and trying to take out this Oldhim. It's not looking good. They've not dealt any damage to the Oldhim player yet, but there seems to be a game plan here, and I'm really excited to see how that develops.
Well, they've definitely developed the board state, haven't they? I mean, having 3 energy potions out is a blessing, I guess. It helps you get around frostbites later on in the game, but losing 13 life early on and not being able to get any life off the Oldhim as yet. We've only seen a fraction of the Oldham's threats so far as well.
Yeah, that's true.
The Azalea player does need to be hitting back with something. It is all well and good to block out, but they do need to try and do some prevention. We do see the Remorseless come through. Again, the Remorseless is a fine card, but it's not going to affect Oldhim too much. You lose a health on playing an action. But the Oldhim player is more than happy to just swing hammer if they have to and block this out. I think it may have been. We see the Azalea hero ability used, so I assume that it has been given Dominate or something has been done. Yeah, we see Knock pitched. Can't tell if this is coming in with Dominate, but it should be relatively easy for the Oldhim player to cover this regardless. They have access to a lot of equipment blocks still. They have Seeds with a card in Arsenal to use, and they have Rampart. It's just really tough stuff here for the Azalea player.
I think our stream chat has been infiltrated by the cult of Azalea today. Everyone's rooting for Azalea. But I agree with the sentiments that actually Oldhim is probably the worst matchup they could have come up against in the top 8. If it had been a Briar, I'd give them a much better chance, actually.
Yeah, it's interesting because the chat, there's a big stream delay, so we're seeing people see the first few turns in the chat and just saying it was a really bad start. For you two guys that weren't here, the Oldhim started really strong with a tear asunder, getting a tear asunder off, getting some discards going on. It was a pretty brutal start for the Azalea, but they have managed to keep a cap on the damage that they have taken. They've taken 13, but could be worse. Definitely could be worse at this point in the game. And yeah, we see the Rampart and Seeds and card block on this 5, which, this is the issue with Dominate for 5. It's something we've seen before with things like Arknight Ascendancy in Viscerai. It's not as impactful as a 6 Dominate, because it's so easy to cover with a 3 block and a piece of equipment for 2, or in the case of Oldhim, Seeds and Rampart. Those 5s are pretty bread and butter to cover.
But I suppose it's better than, you got to do something, right? And it just means that Oldhim is now, it might not necessarily have a really big impactful turn. So Azalea is going to have to take something to the face in order to start pushing up that momentum. So it looks like we've got a Frosty Hammer coming in for 4. It's not the worst, I don't think. Maybe he's just got to sit back and think, can I, if you've got a defense reaction just to take that out, or even if you just block for 3 and take the 1, or take the whole 4, maybe, just so you can push it. It looks like he's blocked it with a defense reaction.
There are definitely plenty of defense reactions in this deck.
Yeah.
And I wonder if it is more of a second cycle deck. If that's the case, if we're looking at some sort of tri-shot Perch Grapplers combo, then they're going to need to have the life total to take the damage to set that up. So I don't think they want to lose too much life on the way there.
No, yeah. I mean, Azalea's one of the few heroes that can actually really slam the pitch stack on overdrive with, a headpiece looking at opt in a card that can put that down to the bottom, and then Azalea will then put the card in Arsenal down to the bottom and then put the next card over on top.
It does cycle quickly, eh?
It gets through that really fast. Plus Death Dealer as well was putting a card down, drawing a card. So she is going to get through to her second cycle way quicker than pretty much anyone else, really. She's one of the few heroes that can just smash through her deck to get to that second cycle the fastest. So maybe that is his plan, and just not get crumpled on the way.
We see the searing shot come down here. If it's coming for 4, if it hits, it deals a point of damage in addition to any damage dealt by it.
Lose 1 health, they say.
Lose 1 health. So
it's pretty strong, actually.
It's a good word.
Can't do anything about that.
Yeah. So, but I think the Oldhim. We'll see what the Oldhim does here again, coming in for 4. Whether they will what they will do about it. Looks to be like could be an Oldhim defense react here, or it could just be it's just going to be the Rampart on a block probably. But yeah, like Hamish was saying, the Oldhim is blocking this stuff out. It's all well and good. Or we even see a defense react on it. Actually, maybe they wanted to just get that out. And the Oldhim is happy to sit back and swing hammer. We know this. We've seen Oldhim players play this before. It's the inevitability of that hammer, the inevitability of knowing you've got the cards in deck, seeing a CNC go down here. Obviously not a good sight for any Ranger player. But like you guys saying, if the Azalea player is playing for a second cycle, is playing for a huge term of Perch Grapplers, and we know this is a good player, we know that the Polish scene is super strong. We've seen this Azalea player rise up the ranks to get to this top 8 spot. You can't help but think that they've got something in the back here that they're going to try and achieve.
Now we see the 3rd CNC from Oldhim. I mean, that will hopefully be a relief to the Azalea player, getting all of those out of the way early-ish. Still got plenty of life. Obviously, there's no time on the top 8 matches.
I wonder if the Oldhim players starting to recognise this though, and go, okay, right, I need to have some sort of disruptive plan when that second cycle comes round. So being able to have like something like Spinal Crush or or an Oakenold. And again, right now we've got I believe that's a CNC for 9.
It's
Six.
a
6. Okay, right, yeah. I was like, oh, what did he do? Is there anything out there that can do that? But no, coming in for 6.
Only if you're
Azalea's
Briar.
worst nightmare. Only if you're Briar. I don't know. Oldhim
Good
can
old
Oldhim can run
Heroic
the
and
old
CNC.
pump cards
That's
as well.
Earth Surge, yeah.
Yeah. FO Surge, CNC for 11. Okay, well, that looked like it was easily blocked out. And I believe it was then Azalea'd a defense reaction into. That's why it's flipped up. So
cross wrap, and then opt, and then potentially Azalea seeing what's on the top.
yeah.
And I think we do see a Bolton shot there pitched to the bottom. Bolton shot obviously going to be a hugely important card if the Azalea player does want to go really wide in a second cycle. Getting arrows with go again and reload, it's exactly what they want to be able to do if they are going to pop off with, say, 3 of a kind or try shot or something along those lines.
I think that must have really annoyed. I think that annoyed his flow, that CNC. You can tell because I think he put that defense reaction in there so that he can be able to throw that out into the next attack. CC pops up and it's like, right, okay, I can't use this. What I wanted to do was throw that out there so that I can def dealer and, do you know what I mean, start the cycle over. I honestly don't believe he wants to see that defense reaction back into his deck.
In the pitch stack, no.
Yeah, he doesn't want that in the pitch stack.
Disrupt the pitch stack.
Yeah, so that CNC's probably thrown a turn off a little bit because now, yeah, that's it. He's probably just stopped right there.
But again, he's using the syncs, he's using the fates. This is all pointing toward, and he's not used any of the knock the death whistles to shuffle the deck. He's not used any of them. He's blocked with them. So
that's it. So he was waiting for the next attack, and then
it's a really interesting strategy because it obviously means that the Azalea can't utilize Memorial Ground at all. Memorial Ground also shuffles the deck, which you'd think, well, that'd be a great card for playing against an Oldhim that's trying to fatigue me.
Memorial Ground doesn't shuffle the deck, does it?
No,
it just puts a card on top.
Does it put it on the top? Shin said it shuffled the deck.
Oh, don't believe him.
Shin lied to me.
Don't believe this guy.
It just takes a card from the graveyard and puts it.
Still use Memorial Ground then. So that could be something that we see access to if the Azalea player does need to block with some cards that they want to see.
I wonder what he's gonna. He must be obviously setting up for some huge, just.
Well, my question then is if we're seeing a pitch stack, which it looks like we are. Firstly, what life total does he need Oldhim to be before this works? Secondly, what are we going to see? Because he's got 2, so we've got 3. We've got 3 energy potions on the board. So I'd imagine one of those goes towards activating Perch Grapplers.
Yes.
You've got maybe try shots. You've got rain razors because we saw one pitched earlier. You've got potentially 3 of a kind, but that would rely too much on reload getting things in. Well, we're going to rely on reload getting anything in Arsenal anyway because you've only got.
You need to stack those try shots so that you can essentially. We could see an almost Death Dealer Lexi style Azalea here if they're able to get the snapshot Death Dealer Lexi. This could be something that we see the Azalea player attempt. Try shot the Death Dealer so they're able to use it multiple times. Keep on loading arrows. Keep on pushing the damage through. All got go again with the Perch Grapplers. It's got the potential to be pretty huge.
I'm not going to lie.
How much does try shot cost?
Try shot is
0. I'm actually loaded up FAB-DB just so I can
cost 0. So you can just use your bow an additional 2 times.
Right. Okay. And then drawing cards.
But we just to go back to what Simon was saying, that's all well and good if this Azalea player can get to that stack in time with the pressure that's being put on them. This Azalea player runs a lot of 2-block cards, maybe cards that don't block super efficiently. And the Oldhim player is being allowed to have a lot of space to push through cards. Here we see a Spinal Crush here, and I assume this is indicating for the Oldhim player that the crush effect is in effect.
He's taking a lot of damage.
Push through a bit of damage there. Oldhim. We think of Oldhim as being a slow controlling deck. The Oldhim, a lot of these Oldhim decks have access to incredibly powerful cards. Big dominated effects. This Azalea player needs to be really careful about going down low. Hasn't got too many.
There you go. It's starting. 3 of a kind. We're in.
Are we starting now?
There's very few cards left in the deck. This looks like the beginning of the pitch stack. But Spinal Crush is on the table. So is he now going to have to wait until the next turn?
I think it would be a very odd time to pop off if Spinal Crush.
Yeah, I was going to say he's only got one turn. And that turn was to play 3 of a kind. Maybe that is his turn. Maybe he wants to push through finding these last couple of cards.
Yeah, exactly. Just churn the deck. But you can see there's maybe 15 cards left in the Azalea deck, right? And am I wrong in seeing that?
It doesn't look like there's a lot. I'm not going to lie. I am curious as to what he's
it's an
trying
interesting
to plan.
Because if the Spinal Crush is the effect, obviously 3 of a kind doesn't have go again. Just draw 3 cards, and that is your turn. But maybe the Azalea player just wants to get that card out of hand and wants to get a specific card, and maybe needs thinking.
But also,
I need to reach my pitch stack as
have
quickly
we
as
seen
possible.
Bolton shot
Why not
at
just
all?
draw as many as I can?
We've seen a couple of Bolton shots. However, he has pitched a couple. Oh, we've got Terra Sunder
really, really important turn here from the Oldhim player, being able to get the Terra Sunder. It's not a fused Oakenhold. It's only 8, but this could really disrupt what the Azalea is trying to do.
Yeah.
Here.
I think, that was the thing I was worried about, that we've got the setup plan made up and then the Guardians doing what Guardians do best and just go, oh, is it now's the time? Okay, time to disrupt. And it's just like, this is the worst time to do this.
And of course, the Oldhim player can see the Azalea player's deck. They can see how many cards they've got left. They can even ask for it to be counted if they want to. They should know, right, when is the Azalea player ready to pop off? I can see that they're running out of cards. It's got to be soon. Now's the time to throw out this massively disruptive 8 dominate. And I was going to say something earlier. I think one of you guys might have also noted it. Is the Azalea player has actually already played quite a lot of their defense reactions already. I'm not sure how many more they can have in the deck if they have got this plan of pitch stacking and working through them. You don't want too many, because otherwise they get all bunged up in what you want to be doing at the end of the game. I mean, you'd look at this and you think, you see 3 energy potions on the field for the Azalea. There's got to be something spicy coming. I'm just really hoping that the Azalea player could do the spicy thing.
I hope
we all want to see it. He's got a 6-card hand plus an arsenal at the moment. Even if he has to discard 2 off of the Terra Sunder, there is still hope. But it's just whether those 2 are vital for the. Obviously, building a 6-7 card hand into this turn, maybe he's got another 3 of a kind he was hoping to set off. So he had 8 or 9 cards in hand.
Yeah. Oh, come on.
Tear isn't as bad as Crippling Crush. You get to choose the discards. Like the Azalea player at least has that. It's not a random discard from Tear. That's something.
Okay. Well, he's got to have blocked Summon because otherwise he's dead.
So I think we see. What card do we see revealed there by the Azalea in the Arsenal? It's hard to make out.
Take aim? No, try shot. That is our try shot.
It's a try shot. Okay, we're going. We're here. Wow. I'm
such
excited.
A bad time for that disruption from the Oldhim player. If only it just been something the Azalea could just take and come back with this turn. But we are going to see something big here. What can the Azalea player
one energy potion used to fuel Death Dealer for the first time? An endless arrow in the arsenal.
Perfect. That's a good start.
Have we got our Rain Razors and have we... Oh, we've Perch Grapplers. That's the other energy potion.
Okay.
So every arrow now has go again.
It's coming in for 4. No, not dominated.
4 go again.
What is the Oldhim player going to do here? They should block 6. They should think, what is the card that blows me up here? It's got to be Rain Razors. But maybe I can't see how many cards the Azalea player's got in hand. Is it 2? It could be a double Rain Razors, but then what do they do? Can't get the.
So Tri-Shot was played from Arsenal. There should be 3 cards in hand.
Yeah, if they did. No, because we had 2.
2 discarded from a 6-card hand and 1 in Arsenal.
Yes, of course. But wait, was it a 6-card hand? Was it? Did they draw with a 4-card hand when they played the 3 of the kind?
Mm-hmm.
I see. Oh, it's spicy stuff. It's spicy stuff. The Oldhim player's thinking about it.
He doesn't want to mess this up.
Imagine how much you think, when was the last time you saw someone with 40 health think this long about taking 4, right?
Yeah. Well,
we know what that 4 really is.
Are we in for a massive literally an endless arrow? Just endless amounts of endless arrows?
But it can't be endless, that there is a limit because of the number of Tri-Shots, the number of times that the Azalea player can load a endless arrow into the arsenal.
But could you
that limit is pretty high, if they can keep drawing into Tri-Shots, if they can keep they've got braces to put it in an extra time.
But is there a way to get a card into the arsenal by reloading and then play another Tri-Shot?
Yeah, that would be what the multiple uses of Death Dealer would be for, right? Because they haven't actually played.
Death Dealer puts a card into Arsenal face up, right?
And draws a card.
Yeah. Whereas I'm trying to think, what does Bullseye Braces do?
Bullseye Braces allows you
may
to
put an arrow.
Load a card and +1.
Right.
You can see it. You can see what's happening here. And this Oldhim player is taking his time. He's thinking, what do I do to make sure I don't lose all of my health here?
Well, surely he's got to block that endless arrow, right? Surely this is the time to just go, I block. Just block. I mean,
yeah.
I don't need to take damage here. Even though you are on 40 health, you might as well just try and be as high a life total as possible at this point. Block it all out for this big turn, and then come back when there's not something as crazy as an endless amount of Tri-Shot arrows coming at you.
Taking a lot of time to think. I think that's appropriate considering what's on the line. This is top 8 match. There's going to be a lot of arrows coming his way, but where does he block? He's got Crown is active, is available. Sorry, he's got Crater Fist, he's got Iron Rock legs, and he has a Tunic which can pay for the Crown. But we're expecting at least 1 Rain Razors on this turn, potentially 2.
And what was your read, Simon, on the number of cards in hand? Is there a possibility that the Azalea player has another endless arrow in hand?
I believe if they didn't, which they didn't block for the Terror Sunder, they would have put 2 of their 6 cards discarded. They would have Death Dealered with the E-Pot to make up to 5. They played Tri-Shot from Arsenal, 4 cards still in hand. They would have put a card back in Arsenal with the Death Dealer E-Pot and drawn a card. So there'd be 4 cards in hand. Still.
So he's throwing it. He's throwing
cards, but if
he's really
can follow up with another endless arrow, that's going to really limit the ability. Oh no,
he's gone full equipment block.
Full equipment block, not 3 cards from hand. So
shield plus Crater Fist plus Iron Rock Gauntlet for 4 exactly. He's now gone up to
it's for 5. 5.
And then Rain Razor?
To 6 to Rain Razors. Okay. But he can still Oldhim react.
Yeah, he can still Crown of Seeds.
Yeah.
That will cover the full 6.
And then maybe he's got another Razor.
Wait, why was the block for 5? Sorry. Crown plus 4 equipment.
Yeah, it's Rampart, Crater Fist, and the Ironhide boots to pay.
Was that Ironhide? I thought it was Iron Rot. Sorry.
No, I'm pretty sure it's Ironhide because he's
just
pitched one floating left.
Yeah. So let's see if he activates Crown.
I don't see any reason why not.
I mean, at the moment, it would be pretty bold to not Crown here. I mean, letting the Azalea player have this endless arrow back.
Yeah.
and taking a damage.
Because if the Azalea player doesn't have another arrow, this turn is dead.
I'd imagine he wouldn't commit this hard.
I agree.
To one endless arrow.
He chooses to.
He's old. So he's put in the right. Okay, I think that's definitely gonna really mess up the turn a bit. But then I can imagine he's got
the cards. You know, he's still got the crown. He's waiting to use it. I imagine that's to use it at the optimal time.
Unless he doesn't want to get rid of his arsenal.
That's the point. Yeah, that's the thing. If it's a defense reaction that he thinks can shut down a follow-up arrow, then he maybe doesn't. But then that's letting this endless arrow hit. Unless I'm missing something here, because he's used the ice react. He doesn't have access to the earth react anymore. He's got a tunic, so he can seeds off the tunic, but he's got a resource floating, so he can seed off that too. And at the moment, he's blocking 5. Here we go. The seeds comes down. He uses the tunic resource for the seeds as well. Wants to keep that one resource floating. We don't know what that could be for, but it could be useful.
Maybe it's Oasis respite.
Yeah, really good point, Hamish. That could be a really good way to shut down a follow-up. And another Rain Razors comes down.
Yeah.
Double rain.
That's what we were expecting.
It's raining. It's a raining endless razor.
However, he is now blocking 8, right? So
he's not blocking 8. He's blocking 6.
No, he ice reacted. So
it was an ice react.
He can no longer earth react. This endless arrow, unless we see a defense reaction come through, is going to hit.
And we're going to see a reactivation of the Death Dealer to get the card he ice reacted back anyway.
And the Oldhim player has now committed 2 cards from hand to blocking this original, 2 cards pitched. That leaves him with 3 cards in hand after seeding, because the Arsenal, he'll draw a card. 3 cards to work on any future arrows. This is really incredible stuff. What a fantastic game to be able to cast with all the 3 of us here together.
It is. If only Oldhim wasn't on 40 health.
I know, but I think this what's 8 times 5, Hamish? It's 40. It could happen.
It could happen. It could happen. Imagine. I mean, that is quite a lot of times you can just slam that.
If you've got no cards in hand and you're coming with you arrows for 8, all of them have go again, and if they hit, they into your hand. You're drawing
Surely
a card.
This is Oasis.
You've got 2 resources from energy pot. This is definitely doable. And you're looking at the Oldhim player's face and you're thinking he doesn't look happy. You're looking at the Azalea. He's got his hands right in front of his face, focused on this game. He doesn't look distraught. He looks like he thinks he can do this.
There must be another.
I'm just reading the chat and thinking people predicting what's going to happen. You're going to love it when you get around.
When you get gratification. Going to be crazy.
You are not prepared. Okay, come on, man. I really want this Oldhim player to just go, okay, I take 2. Excellent.
He can't. What's he gone for? Staunch response.
Staunch response.
Over the top.
Those are 2 more cards from hand, though.
Yeah, so he's got nothing left in hand. Or he's got 1 card left in hand.
If the Azalea player has something else to throw here,
I don't think.
So the Azalea player has to have an arrow in hand. Otherwise, as Hamish said, should they have committed that hard? Like, I think there has to be a way to activate Death Dealer again.
Is that it?
Got 2 Rain Razors on the field. The Oldhim player did have the defense reaction to shut down that first endless arrow, but what does the Azalea follow up with?
Okay.
Oh, it's lagged. I see the card being put down, but I can't see what it is.
Another endless arrow.
So good. Oh, I don't believe it.
How did he get the endless arrow down?
He had 2. He had 2 endless arrows.
But how did he get the other one down?
It would activate. He's got. Oh no! Wait, are they?
Oh no!
Oh yeah, no. No, this is it. So
he throws everything at the next one.
He had the second endless arrow. Is this right? Yeah. Yes.
Then he
activated Death Dealer because of Tri-Shot. Would have drawn the card.
We see the Tunic, the Rampart, because obviously he gets the Rampart back because of using
4,
the Death
5,
Dealer.
6.
And an E-Strike.
So
Yeah, so we're
1,
blocking 6.
Versus 8, right?
3,
Yeah.
4, 5, 6, 7.
He's just
didn't use-
mitigating. He's just mitigating cost now, issues now, right? So that should be
Did he have
all
it
of the.
covered? Did he have it covered?
How?
Because he
how
didn't
did,
use the
oh.
seeds on the previous
No,
attack
it's-
because
he
of the
has-
Rampart.
Okay, so it looks like he is now.
Then
hit
we've got a
with the
Bolton
endless
shot
arrow.
in. Now we've got a Bolton shot in Arsenal. So this is coming in. Nothing left in hand for the Oldhim,
Yeah, so he's.
which
This
gives
is
you free reload.
Oh, he just had enough because of the
Epoch.
no, the Oldhim player just had enough to cover
The endless
the
arrow.
second endless arrow.
How? I'm trying to work out how he
He
did that.
still hadn't used his seeds prevention.
And the Rampart went up
that
to
was
2.
it.
F dealer breaks the chain. Rampart goes up to 2. That's why he was keeping that extra resource. That
Ah.
was for 3.
He
An
chucked
extra
the Tunic
3.
in there as well.
Chuck the Tunic. I thought it was 7, but I must have misseen it. But it did manage to cover that second endless arrow.
So,
And
there was an E-Strike, Rampart for 2, that's 5. Crater Fist is 6. Tunic is 7, and the Seeds is 8.
it's 8.
Oh, that's awesome. That's just
Brutal.
It is
But
brutal. Well played to the
Oldhim
Oldhim player for seeing this. Like,
yeah,
it's-
the Oldhim player has nothing left in hand. If this Azalea player is able to access another endless arrow, we don't know where the third one is. It may be in the grave, it may be in the deck. If they can find the third one
don't
and a try
know.
shot, that could be it.
I think
but
they may have used the Endless Arrow earlier in the turn.
And then I think all the rain razors are
sorry,
gone.
in the game.
All the go
rain
against
razors
gone.
are
the
out.
Azalea player is thinking, you can see the body language in the Azalea player completely changed after seeing that second endless arrow get blocked out. They thought they had it. They thought they had
With
this.
one card in hand, you would hope.
Close, but maybe they can do something. Counting the deck, it looks like how many cards left? Where do you think the cards are that you need?
It's interesting because if he'd have used Bullseye Braces to load it and give it +1, he would have got it back, but he wouldn't have got the extra card from.
The Ram's Head's doing so much work.
First damage of the game dealt to the Oldhim player. 4 damage, but yeah, like Hamish just said, that Rampart, it's going to be able to be used every single time.
He's done it.
A real disappointment, but we've got to give full credit to that Oldhim player. Like Hamish said, he saw the lines, he saw what he needed to do, what he needed to cover. So unfortunate the Azalea player wasn't able to get it off, but what a showing, guys, for this Azalea in this final of Polish Nationals.
He was one resource short. 1 point of damage short on the Azalea side from that being a ridiculous turn, right?
Oh yeah. If he can get that, even if he felt like he can get that first one going, right?
Yeah.
That would have it would have been quite wild, but yeah, but he saw it. He gave him no quarter.
Yeah, absolutely.
And as you say, the Rampart did a huge amount of work in that.
Insane. And you don't even need to keep pumping the 1 in anymore. He just knows that he just every time he's doing the Death Dealer, Rampart blocks with 3. It's like he's got a free block card hand every turn. Just
it'd be really interesting to see how much damage that Azalea player could potentially do with Rampart on 3 block. They're going to try an endless arrow continuously, keep activating Death Dealer in order to load cards into the arsenal, use those braces for an extra 1. They might even have a couple of, like we saw, Bolton shots to get some extra endless arrows in. It feels like the damage potential of that combo is incredibly high, but unfortunately the Oldhim player had the defense reaction in hand, was able to cover off the damage in the correct way and didn't misplay and allow one of those endless arrows to hit.
Well played.
That was just an absolute joy to watch.
Yeah,
all 4 games that we've watched today have been absolutely cracking. It's a real shame you guys didn't get to see the previous Azalea game, but the quality, these have just been fantastic to watch. That's such a great time.